Hi guys, and welcome back to World of Warships, my first play session in about a month. And I've been kind of missing World of Warships. I wasn't expecting to miss it, but I kind of did miss it. Maybe even a little bit more than World of Tanks, probably because World of Warships is still new and shiny, and it's a new experience for me. But we're back, and it is about 2 a.m. in the morning, and I started playing around midnight. Unfortunately, I was working today, but I did get my first World of Warships play session in about a month. And I was trying to figure out what I was going to do for today's video, and while I haven't been around, I haven't been able to play games, my PC hasn't been around, I did actually pick up the premium ships, and I haven't actually played any games in these ships whatsoever yet. But those have been covered. Lots of people have covered these ships on other reviews, other videos, so I thought, you know, maybe I'll try something different. And, you know, we'll start with maybe the very bottom. And when we come into the tech tree, you can see that at the moment there's one Japanese ship, the Kitakami, and of course I can't afford this because I don't have that much gold. I know it says tokens up here, but I'm going to call it gold because that's exactly what it is. But there are quite a few premium ships that have been added to the game. As I say, the Kitakami, and then was there another ship added for the Japanese that isn't showing up on the tech tree? I'm not quite sure. Oh, the Yubari, that's it, yes. So the Yubari was one of the ships that was added to the gift shop. You can only purchase it from the gift shop. You can't get it from the tech tree at the moment. The USA had some ships added. They had the Albany, the Atlanta, and then they had the Sims added. Again, it's not showing up in the tech tree. But what happened when you buy ships from the gift shop was you actually got some gold. And using that gold, I purchased a couple of the lower tier premium ships that are available from the gift shop. Unfortunately, the gold you get isn't enough to buy one of the big boys. So basically, I just spent the gold on some port slots or garage slots and low tier ships, and that's pretty much it. So everyone's been covering the premium ships you can buy, and I thought, you know what? I don't think anyone has covered the Albany. This is kind of like the T2 Lite of premium ships. It's a tier 2 premium ship, and it's the only tier 2 premium ship. You can't get another tier 2 premium ship anywhere. The USSR have a tier 3, the Aurora, which I haven't actually played yet. As I say, it's my first play session back, but I did just play a couple of games in the Albany. And I'm not a World of Warships player. I'm not very good. I'm a very, very average player. And I'm not a big ship guy. I'm not going to go into the history of the ship very much, other than basically what it gives you in-game. So apparently this, I have no idea what it means, but basically the ship was built in England for the Brazilian Navy, and while on the way to Brazil, it was purchased by the US Navy as they were involved in the Spanish-American War. So basically, yeah, Brazil bought it for their Navy, and while it was being shipped to Brazil, it did a U-turn, went to the US and fought in the Spanish-American War. So she also fought in World War I as an escort and a patrol ship, operating with the US Atlantic Fleet, and in 1920, during the Russian Civil War, she was in Vladivostok, supporting Allied expeditionary forces in Siberia. So the ship was commissioned in 1922. Yeah, that's about it. That's all I know. I'm not a ship person. But I can talk a little bit about the stats on the ship, and survivability, not very high. You can see we've only got an 18 rating for survivability. So even though it's a tier 2, the hit points aren't particularly high, and typically of low tier ships, it has absolutely no armor. So yeah, not a good start. And when we come down to artillery, we've got, actually not bad, we've got 6 152mm guns. Now that's basically like having 6 KV2s sitting on your ship. So the guns aren't particularly bad. You can see that the HE shells do up to 1440 damage with, and you can see that the AP shells can do up to 3,340 damage. Now, considering it's only a tier 2, those AP shells, if you get full penetrating hits, do a lot of damage. But on the other hand, at low tiers, most ships have absolutely no armor, so when you're firing AP, the chances of doing a maximum AP shell damage shot is next to 0. So I played 2 games on this ship tonight, first 2 games, and I figured that basically, yeah, it just wasted time firing AP. Most of the ships you're going to be fighting against are just too lightly armored, and AP does an average of about 100-200 damage. You're far better off firing HE, and that'll at least do 400, 500, 600 damage, and do a lot of module damage as well. So yeah, the guns are looking okay until you come down to the firing range of 6.3 kilometers. 6.3 kilometers is absolutely terrible. The firing range on this is just dreadful. It's a cruiser, and cruisers are normally quite fast. They're quite agile, and the problem with the firing range is that this ship isn't particularly fast. It isn't particularly mobile. We'll get into that in a moment. And basically most ships are going to be able to shoot you before you can shoot them. It's very disappointing. Another reason I really don't like the guns on this ship is when you take a look at concealment, you can see concealment. Oh, that's not bad. Let's get an 80 rating. That's not bad. Surface detectability range, 8.8 kilometers. That's actually okay if you're top tier. Or not if you're top tier, but if you're in higher tier games. In lower tier games, this is the issue. You can see that the surface detectability, I can be detected by other ships at 8.8 kilometers. Now, they can detect me at 8.8 kilometers, but I can't shoot them till they get to 6.3. Also, it's very difficult to spot ships at 8.8 kilometers. They'll always spot you, and you'll start taking fire from invisible ships. I don't know what the view range on this ship is, but it's not very good. It doesn't tell you what the signal range is either, and the signal range is very poor. You lose contact with friendly ships as soon as they get more than 2 or 3 grid squares away. So signal range and view range on this ship is not very good. Secondary armament again looks okay. You've got 4 by 120 millimeters, but while this does look impressive, 6 by 152. When you look at the gun placements, you've got one gun here, you've got another gun here, you've got another gun here, so that's 3. And this is 4. So you've got your main guns are 2 mounted on the side, 2 mounted, can I get around? 2 mounted on the other side. So while it does have 6 guns, it's a little bit like the St. Louis in that you can only ever get 4 guns on target, and that's assuming that you're actually sitting side on, or that you're going broadside. So while this is quite impressive for a tier 2, you're only ever going to get 4 guns on target no matter what way you're facing. So yeah, guns, big disappointment. AA guns, you can completely ignore. You might as well just push P at the beginning of the game. This is a low tier ship. It's a tier 2 ship, so you're never going to be facing planes unless you fail platoon. So you can pretty much ignore the fact you've only got 4 37mm AA guns. When it comes to maneuverability, again, a big downside. The top speed is not particularly fast for a cruiser, but it's low speed. The maximum turning circle, or the turning circle radius, is excellent, 490 meters. So this ship, I was going to say tank, this ship turns really well. The turning circle is very small, but of course Wargaming had to ruin the one good thing this ship has by giving it a rudder shift time of 9.2 seconds. So that basically means it takes about 9.2 seconds to go from one side of your rudder control to the other side. So the rudder control is really slow. So even though the turning radius, the circle radius, is very small, that's good. The time it takes you to initiate that turn is huge. It doesn't turn very well. So it's not fast, it doesn't turn very well, although when it does turn, it has a very small turning circle. The guns aren't very good, the view range isn't very good, and the signal range isn't very good. So what's to like about this ship, to be honest, not a lot. Not a lot. Again, I'm not a perfect player, and I could probably play this, or a lot of players out there would probably play this ship a lot better. But I'm just running into problems when I'm playing the Albany. Now, it's not very expensive. It doesn't cost too many tokens or gold, but I, for some reason, can't figure out how much it actually does cost, because once you buy it, unfortunately, you can't figure out how much gold it actually cost. So, yeah, I've forgotten how much it is, but it's not very expensive. But to be honest, my advice would be to probably spend gold, if you have gold, on port slots rather than the Albany. You might be able to pick up 1 or 2 or maybe even 3 port slots for the price of the Albany. It's just a very, very average ship with quite a few problems. It's not very new player friendly, and yeah, I didn't enjoy my couple of games in the Albany. Now, one other thing I need to point out is something I've noticed, because this is the first premium ship I've actually driven, or I've actually sailed, and I've discovered, yes, while you can actually move your commanders into ships from other ships, so is there any way it can tell? No, it's telling me it's in the Albany. Is there any way? What ship is this guy actually from? The UI in the crew selection section isn't very good. So this is Morris James. Is there any way of telling what ship he's actually from? I don't know. Let's assign this guy to the ship. And from reserve, so Morris James. Oh, he's from the Omaha. Okay. So basically, yeah, very difficult to figure out what ship they're actually from. But yeah, I've got my Omaha commander in here, which means that yes, you can move your crew or your commander from one ship into a premium ship in order to train them. But there's no accelerate crew training. There's no accelerate crew training. I don't know whether it's going to be added, whether they plan to add it, whether or not it's been a complete it was a design decision not to include it, but there's no accelerate crew training. So that means when you're playing the Albany, yes, or premium ships, you are going to be earning more credits, you are going to be earning XP, you are going to be earning more free XP, but you're also going to be earning XP on the ship. And the only thing you can do with that particular XP is convert it. So as you can see, I've got 3,700 XP on the Albany. There's nowhere here for me to basically give it to the crew to build up the commander. So you end up, with your playing premium ships, you're going to end up with basically lots and lots of XP on your premium ships, and basically you're just going to have to spend gold or leave it there forever. So really the only point in driving the premium ship is basically to earn more credits. Crew training is secondary, a very, very low secondary. And again, as I said, I don't know if it's a design decision, whether or not Wargaming made a conscious effort not to have an accelerate crew training in here, maybe to encourage players to spend gold in order to spend or free up XP they've earned on premium ships. I don't know. I'm going to go into the forums after this video and see if I can find out. But yeah, this is just one little issue I have with premium ships that I've just noticed, considering I've just started playing the Albany. So let's just get into some gameplay, because you probably want to see the Albany in action. So this is my first game back in World of Warships in about a month, and it's also my first game in the Albany. And I don't know whether you noticed there, but on the team sheet it's going to be a tough ask, because I'm a tier 2, it's a tier 3 game, but the enemy team have 5 tier 3s, 3 of which are St. Louis, and we only have 3 tier 3s. And their St. Louis are platooned, but we'll do what we can in this particular game. So as you can see, the acceleration isn't too bad, but the top speed is not fantastic, and it does take quite a while to reach 20 knots. And of course a little bit of fail here, because I'm tunnel visioned, the other ship is tunnel visioned. I was actually looking at something else on another screen, and that's why I used the map movement. So I slowed down, he reverses, that's fine, and then I set it up again. So my plan is basically to head north. We only have 3 cruisers, everyone else is in a destroyer. Well, actually we've got more than 3 cruisers, but you can just see that the ships to the south I've already lost contact with. So there is the signal range. So pretty much all the ships that have gone south I've lost contact with. So I've really just got a couple of destroyers and myself up here. And I'm using AP. So in this first game I'm going to be firing AP. And this is where I discover incredibly bad gun range. Again, I hadn't looked at the stats of the ship before actually playing it, but I've got incredibly poor gun range, and you can see that enemy ships are able to fire at me. Those ships are firing at me before I can fire at them. So basically I'm timing this, and even though he's out of range when I fire, I'm hoping he will sail into those shots, and he does. But our damage isn't particularly high. There are torpedoes coming in, but I've got plenty of advance notice, should miss them all. And we're just continuing to try and put shots in. And as you can see, I'm not broadside anymore, so I can't get my 4 guns on target. And it's taking me quite a while to turn. So while my turning circle is very, very small here, it almost looks as if I'm skating on ice. The turning circle is small. It's taking me quite a while to actually turn. So again, we're doing damage, but we're only firing AP, and we're only doing about 100 to 200 damage per shot. You can see that the rate of fire is very, very good. So that is one thing I will give this ship. The rate of fire is pretty good, but this guy is just almost out of my range. He's almost dead. Are we going to get a kill? And the answer is no. So we hit him another couple of times, but we don't get the kill. So this first game I'm basically firing AP almost exclusively. I'm just testing it with AP. In the second game I'm going to be firing HE, and you'll see that it performs a little bit better. But essentially this is with the rate of fire and the fact you've got 4 guns on either side. It does mean that this ship does play a little bit like the St. Louis at tier 3, but the difference is the St. Louis is firing a lot more guns than this is. But the rate of fire is nice. So once again, pre-aiming, ship coming around the corner. He's a destroyer. Now I'm firing AP. Now I should be firing HE. He's got very poor, very poor armor. But we've got plenty of time. You can see that the accuracy is actually quite good. I'm not using alt, but I'm hitting my shots, and you can see that the rate of fire is very good. But because I wasn't side on, I wasn't hitting him with all my guns. So I'm thinking to myself, well, this is going okay. We've taken out 2 ships in the north. So, just looking for more victims, and as you can see, someone is either shooting at me or at the destroyer, but I can't see them. So, the range of fire really is a negative for this ship. But on the other hand, it's pretty accurate, and the rate of fire is very good. So I suppose there are 2 positives. So this guy, again, he's he's a fast-moving target. Fire a couple of shots and we just miss him. Okay, so again, doesn't seem to be much danger. The only other ship that's been spotted north for the enemy is a destroyer. So I've got 2 other cruisers as backup, but we're still focused on this destroyer. And he's out of range. So as soon as he turned away from me, he was out of range. So I kind of don't want to drive around. Oh yes, that's why I didn't want to go around this rock. So all of a sudden a big nasty St. Louis appears out of the fog of war, or the smoke screen, and now another one appears, and now another one appears, and it turns out that all 3 St. Louis came north, or St. Louis. Never sure whether it's St. Louis or St. Louis, but All 3 St. Louis's came north. They're the ships I do not want to face. So basically I'm running, and I'm again trying to focus, trying to time shots in, so that this destroyer might run into my shots. You see more torpedoes in the water. And we're still focused on the AP. Just a testing phase for me. But we're not doing any damage to this guy with the AP, and once again he dies. But these torpedoes are getting quite close. I'm wondering what their range is. The St. Louis's are coming around the rock behind me, and I'm detected. So I do have shots just about on this guy. He's at the edge of my range. But now I'm taking shots from the left. I'm taking shots from directly behind. And we were able to put some shots into him. Another couple of shots in, but I've only got a couple of guns, so I'm turning side on to maybe try and get more shots on target. But this is basically a baby St. Louis, and taking it up against St. Louis or St. Louis's is not a good idea, especially when they're platooned and there's 3 of them around that rock. So this guy is out of my range, but again I'm trying to time the shots so that he drives into them just as he comes into range. Once again, that looks good. And we managed a couple of hits, but we're actually taking hits ourselves. There's another St. Louis. One of the ones went middle St. Louis. But you can see the rate of fire is good, and unfortunately the enemy team cap out and we lose. So very, very quick game, just showing basically the rate of fire and the accuracy of the gun, which is pretty good, but it's also showing the negatives, the poor view range, the poor signal range, and the poor actual gun range, the shell velocity, or the distance your shells can travel. Very, very poor. So it means you've got to close the distance, and when you're within about 6 kilometers of a lot of enemy ships, you're going to die pretty quickly. So I decided to go straight into another game. This time we're going to be focusing on mainly HE, so we'll just cut to that. So it's late at night, not as many people on, but this time we've got a much, much nicer matchup. It's an all tier 2 game, although there are only 7 players aside. But at least I'm top tier this time round. So we kick off 3 cap zones. And once again, I'm using the autopilot while I'm reading my email on the other screen. So what I might actually do is... oh, never mind. I forgot I can't actually speed it up. So there's no replay system in World of Warships, at least not an official one yet. And I am looking forward to getting one, but this was recorded without commentary. I'm putting the commentary over it now. But you can see that this time we're going to be using the HE. We're not switching to AP, we're going to keep the HE going. And you're going to see that we end up doing a lot more damage with the HE than we actually do with the AP. So again, we're just going to move into position, and I'm already pre-aiming. You can see my cursor is over to the left of the ship, making sure that all my guns are pointed to the left for when I start to turn, and I'm already detected. You can see my 6th sense has gone off, I'm detected, and not a single enemy ship has been spotted. So it's just a question of, there we go, there's the fire coming in. So I'm detected, I can't see what's spotting me.
Autopilot mode disabled.
So there must be an enemy destroyer around here somewhere. And I'm already taking fire. So I'm not sure if that's 1 ship or 2 ships firing at me. But I'm trying to get into cover quickly, get into the cover of the islands. And torpedoes in the water. So there we go, there's that little bugger. Or there might be more than one of them, but he's in range, and we put a couple of shots his general direction, miss, but as you can see, the reload is just very, very good. I suppose it's one of the biggest positives of this ship. It really felt like I was playing a cheap version of the St. Louis. But we're starting to do some damage. And don't have to worry about any tier 3s here. So I'm in danger of running into the island. And I drop my speed down slightly, and you can see how long it's taking for this rudder to actually turn. But we're just going to continue firing HE at this guy. And yeah, it just takes so long to turn this ship around. But again, more targets. I've got targets north, I've got targets south. And you can see that the shell velocity is very, very low. There's not a big loop on the shells, and that's because we're firing at such short ranges, but we put another shot in. And I decide we can pretty much ignore that guy, and he goes down, he dies. So I know that there's a destroyer around the corner. There's also a cruiser to my right. But it's just a question of getting them in
Our team has
gun
taken the
range. So we pick up a cap point. And I'm just trying to get shots on these guys, hoping they're within range. Now I'm wondering if I can loop the shells over this island. I've just been detected, and it turns out I can't. Can't loop the shells over the island. And once again, someone gets taken out. So this guy is out of range, so again I'm trying to time it so that he drives into my shells as they're in the air. And there we go, we managed one. So he's just coming into my gun range now, so we can just start opening fire. Unfortunately, he's not giving me very much to shoot at. We have done some critical damage, but he's not giving me very much to shoot at. But you see the rate of fire here is quite good. And I mean, I suppose if you get into close range engagements in this ship, it can be quite good. And it's probably good training for the St. Louis at tier 3. But we're just pumping shots in, another couple of hits, and I want to try and go side on or broadside to this guy so I can get more guns on target. At the moment I'm only firing my forward facing guns. So I don't really want to give him much of a target, but at the same time I'd love to get more guns on. So we're just trading health, trading shots, and I think he must be firing AP because he's not doing that much damage to me. So we score some more criticals. And you can see once we go side on, we've got the 4 guns firing. And of course secondary guns are going to be doing some damage, but there we go. I'm quite happy with that. It did cost me half my health, and I've got no way of regaining that, but not traveling particularly fast. We're only at half speed.
Problem solved, sir.
So yeah, you could do worse. I mean, I don't think my first impressions of this ship are that it's not great. I think it's a ship that has a lot of negatives, but then again, it's only a tier 2. And I suppose if you were to put on equipment and have a well-trained commander in here, you could increase that gun range, possibly. I'm not sure what equipment to put on this ship, or whether or not you can put equipment to boost your primary gun's range. Probably not, it's only a tier 2. But we're sailing north. And once again I'm detected, and these guys are out of range. There's nothing I can do to hit these guys. So he's able to shoot me, I can't return fire. And then another ship appears in front of me. So I don't know whether I made a mistake. I know I've got plenty of backup behind me, but I'm being focused fired because I'm the guy in front. So once again we're trying to get a shot in here, and we managed to defend the base. So even though we didn't do any damage, what actually happened was the splash did a little bit of maybe module damage, and as a result we reset the cap. But the enemy team are still capping one zone. They already own the other zone. So ticket-wise, it's still about a 50-50 game, but things will change pretty soon. You see, you actually lose points for ships on your team dying, while you gain points for ships on the enemy team dying. I'm just trying to turn my ship now. I don't know why. I don't think I'm stuck. Just trying to reverse. You can see that the rudder is just moving so slowly from side to side. Okay, we've gotten off the rocks. And it's still a pretty close game. So now that I've reversed far enough away from the rocks, we can now try and turn around the island instead of running into it. And it's just a matter of hoping these ships are in target or within my range. So yes, we have found a ship in my range. He's not on fantastic health. We go for a few shots before he can get into cover. Unfortunately, we're missing them, so I readjust and once again reset the cap. So my team have collapsed. In case you guys haven't noticed, I'm the only one alive now. There are 3 enemy ships. I'm the only one alive. The rest of my team died pretty quickly. So I know there are 2 ships coming from the north. I know there's a guy right in front of me. I was wondering which side of the island he was going to come out from, but he's on low health. I need to finish him off. I'm firing HE. We set him on fire. Defend the base again, and you can see me constantly glancing behind me. I'm wondering whether I'm about to be flanked. So, really, when it's the same in World of Tanks. Maybe it's World of Tanks philosophy I'm using it here now. But when you're outnumbered towards the end of a game, it's usually best to go on the attack. If you give the enemy team a chance to group up,
The enemy team has taken the lead.
then they're going to take you out. But Sixth Sense has gone off again. I've been spotted, putting more damage in. This guy's almost dead. I'm hoping to set him on fire. So I've already picked up 1 kill. I'm looking for my 2nd kill. And this guy will just not die. Oh, there we go. So I've got to get out of here, got to go on the attack. And this guy, he's not going to be too much of a problem as long as he stays facing me, because he's only got 2 guns on front of his ship. But if he decides to go broadside, I could be in trouble. And it's nice of him to be in range. So really, all I'm doing is running. I'm firing with the rear gun, doing little bits of damage, and he's got friends. So now I'm being targeted by 2 ships. This guy's keeping me in view range, and I'm a cruiser, but I'm a cruiser that doesn't have torpedoes. And I'm not a special alpha test tank, which means it's a cruiser that comes with both smoke and torpedoes. Whereas smoke is usually something you only find on destroyers. So really we're just trading health, trading shots. I'm hoping he misses enough shots. I'm trying to get him down in health. And you can see that the rate of fire is okay. Aim time, shell velocity is quite low. And it's always a gamble. Do you use AP or do you use HE? So it's possible my AP could have been doing more damage, but my HE is taking out his modules. So I'm on very, very low health. The next thing that actually hits me is going to kill me. And there we go. So I did my best. 2 kills in, my 2nd game in the Albany. And it was an okay game, although unfortunately it was a defeat. So yeah, I can't complain too much. You can actually perform in this ship. Came top on XP, but yeah, it's okay. I mean, the Albany can be okay, but I really don't think it's any better or worse than any of the other Tier 2 ships in the game. And you're going to be wanting to skip over the Tier 2 ships and get to Tier 3 as quickly as possible. So, yeah, I mean, it was a good result, decent game in the Albany, and that pretty much shows you what it's all about. The one thing that really hurts it is the lack of gun range. The lack of view range combined with the lack of gun range means it can be quite frustrating to play. But on the other hand, there's lots of different playstyles. You can take this ship in near an island, use it to poke around the corners, take your shots and reverse back into cover. So there are a few different ways you can play this ship, or you can just play it like a standard cruiser. But yeah, I mean, I'm not a big fan of the Albany, and especially over the fact I don't get to accelerate crew training. I don't see myself playing the Albany all that much. So it might be a good ship to hang on to for when I decide to platoon up with new players. In fact, I think that's when it's going to get its most use, but it's definitely not a ship I'll play for fun. It's basically a training wheels ship for the St. Louis, and yeah, St. Louis, if you've got a St. Louis, you're not going to be wanting to play the Albany anyway. But there we go, that's pretty much it, guys. The Albany, I don't think anyone else has covered it. It's not fantastic, and there's really no point in keeping it unless you're planning to platoon with other low-tier new players. But anyway, that's the Albany, guys. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.